Hello, House of Metamorphosis tribe. Welcome back to my channel, and going to have a little conversation about something that is very important this year. It is the primary factor of what we need to be paying attention to, and that being is our nervous system. Now, I know that hairdressers run on a lot of caffeine and nicotine and all sorts of, sugars and substances to keep you going through the day. But what that the effects of that all are, is burnout. And this is what is happening in our industry, where hairdressers are actually experiencing fatigue and burnout because of them riding on their nervous systems using substance. Now, I know it's something that you have sort of indoctrinated. It has been indoctrinated into the industry for a very long time, many decades, in fact. And what we're finding now is in research about the nervous system and how important it is, especially if you're actually taking on the mindset of a holistic container in your salon. And one of the biggest aspects of actually holding a holistic container in your salon that is running operationally through holistic modalities is the care of your nervous system and your team's nervous system. Because if your team burns out and they're running on external fuel, you're going to run into a lot more problems down the end of the track than just having a bit of burnout and overwhelm. You're going to have your team drop out on you, and you're going to lose staff. You're going to lose your team members, and I've actually seen multiple times a lot of hairdressers actually walk away from the job because eventually it gets too much for their nervous system and they want to acquire some peace and some calm. And that's why a lot of hairdressers will opt to actually working for themselves and running their own book and schedule, which is, either doing mobile or working from home, doing something that actually suits their nervous system, where they're not running on a clock, hour by hour, charged by the hour, and they need to actually run on overdrive and stimulation to keep up with the pace. We're coming into a really different time now, guys. We're coming into such a different time in our humanity. And one of the greatest commodities, one of the most important, imperative, priceless commodities here in what we're coming into is the fact that our nervous systems, our energetic currency, is going to be the most priceless exchange that we are going to have with our clients. Let me say that again. Our energetic currency is going to be the most priceless commodity that we are going to be exchanging coming in the next year or two. You're going to notice that energy is going to become a very sought after currency. Let me unpack that a little bit. People come to you not just for their hair. A lot of people, especially women, they come to see their hairdresser to unpack and offload their emotional body, offload what's going on in their life so that they can feel lighter internally. And that's what they come to do. Mostly 95% of your work is to listen to your clients, is to be present to your clients. And that doesn't mean, though, and this is what you learn and evolve, have to say, it doesn't mean that just because they're offloading that you need to take on their load and add it to your own. It means that you'll learn discernment and understand that transference is not a thing, that you can listen and be present without taking on their problems and their energy. And that exchange, that time of exchange, is an exchange of you being present and them being held. And that's the exchange. And that, my friends, is going to be the most imperative, priceless commodity in the exchange that is going to go on between you and your clients. And people are going to, especially with AI taking off the way that it is, and connection and touch industries are going to become the pinnacle awareness of the human race's need for connection. And one of the first industries that's going to be sought after is hairdressing, beauty therapists, massage therapists, people that touch other people to help move energy. And especially like we're talking about hairdressers and we're moving energy up on around the crown, the third eye, and the nape of the neck. Now, this is one of the most important part of a person's being. And the reason being is that this portal right here, the crown, this portal is actually a receiver. It's the energy of receiving information, and that information moving through the body. Another thing that you learn through Evolve is how the energetic system works and how we receive and how we actually express energy and where those power points come from. And we're receiving energy. So based on how a hairdresser actually works with a client in terms of the awareness, the sacred ritual that is conducted around the honoring of this space around the crown. And this area being an absolute necessity to be cared for, to be present to, so that your clients can actually open up to their own wisdom. So the exchange here in terms of having this knowledge and this awareness, knowing that it's not about the way that you do your work. I'm talking about cutting the hair. That's a whole other piece in terms of aligning the identity with the internal reality and authenticity of the person and making sure that their external identity and their internal authenticity is met at a meeting point. And there is a congruence between those two. What I'm talking about here is that working with the crown is imperative. It's the most important. It's the reason why people come to us is because we open up their crown if you're aware of it. And there are many modalities that we can get into, but what I'm actually bringing this up here for is us in this conversation about the importance of, regulating and protecting your nervous system is that the information as a hairdresser that you've inputted all day that actually comes through your crown is blocked in terms of the wisdom that comes through because it's actually filled with mostly gossip and mostly dumping from clients. So what happens is your mind becomes full of all of these stories that you're taking on board because you haven't yet set a boundary between what is yours and what is your client's, so that you can actually call it and go, yeah, that's not my story. I can be present for you. I can listen to this, but I'm not taking on this energy. And you are staying really present to your own source, your own energy source, where you're receiving divine connection, you're receiving download through your body, and you're able to access that wisdom through your nervous system, which helps regulate your own nervous system because you're breathing, you're connected to the self, and you're allowing what information, what knowledge, what wisdom that needs to come through you in order for you to conduct a congruent and a resonant session with your clients that's integrous. So this is really important. And I mean by being integrous is that you're not selling yourself for the price of a haircut. You're not selling your energy. You're not selling your wisdom. You're not selling your soul for the price of a haircut. And that all comes with how you take care of your nervous system. One of the most important modules in Evolve is the energy body, and understanding how the energy body works and how to navigate the energy body when you're working with others, and also how to understand the power centers of the energy body and which elements of our power centers in the energy body and how they contribute to your humanness, your beingness, and your service to others. So being aware of what you're eating, what you're digesting. I'm talking about like information digestion. I'm talking about food digestion, liquid digestion. I'm talking about energy digestion, emotional digestion. There's so many ways to digest things. It's not just food and drink. It can be energy, emotional, it can be energetic. It can be so many different elements that you can digest from, which can block up your nervous system and cause anxiety and cause overwhelm and cause all sorts of ailments internally to you. So a couple of tips is instead of reaching for the coffee, to keep you going if you've had a really busy day, go make yourself a really beautiful pot of tea, and you can put some jasmine in it if you need a little bit of a kick, and then have, find some herbs that really meet you, and you can sip on this tea, have it on your trolley instead of drinking caffeine. Caffeine dehydrates you. Tea hydrates you, and it's also a medicine for your system. It regulates your nervous system. It keeps your digestive system calm and settled, if you're having things like nettle or peppermint in it, and it actually helps your digestive system work properly, and it also keeps your internal system fluid. So sipping on tea instead of coffee. Another thing is that, taking, being very regulated with your breath and becoming very conscious of breathing in and breathing out, but deep breaths, and noticing if you're shallow breathing, that the shallow breath is a reflection of you being under stress or feeling pressure, because you're breathing from your upper chest and not from your lower diaphragm. That's the second one. The third one is that if you're going for sugars, going for lollies, chocolates, going for quick, easy food that's going to give you a very quick bump of energy, which is going to peak you and then drop you, right? So it hasn't got a low GI aspect. So, choosing, low GI foods that actually give you longevity of energy, where you don't feel spiky and you can actually sustain your energy right throughout the day, and not, go into highs and lows, which is what causes the nervous system breakdown and crash. And it also causes you to, in the long run, actually completely burn out of the industry. So three things that are really important here to just notice if your nervous system is not coping, and to stay on top of it, and just to be present to prioritizing what you need first. This is really important. All my conversations are about the hairdresser and what you need first. So always starting your day with what you need first, ending in between every client. What do I need to actually clear the last client? How can I actually be present for this client? Do I need to go outside? Do I need to take 5 minutes? Do I need to have some breath? Do I need to actually just take my shoes off and stand on some earth just to ground myself before I start another client again in a fresh state, where I'm not building unconsciously energy in my body, and then by the end of the day you're so exhausted that you actually turn to a bottle of wine or something just so that you can relieve the tension in your body, which is, if you're sitting there honestly and that is something that you do, that's the reason why you're doing it. So we're trying to alleviate this problem where you're reaching for these things to support you, in the immediate moment, instead of the long-term well-being and care of yourself. So I just wanted to come today and just talk about the importance. I'm going to keep on talking about these things I do on and off, and just the importance of the nervous system and actually paying attention to it. And I also just want to add here, if you're really enjoying this content, this support, holistic viewpoint on how to take care of yourself as a hairdresser in the industry, please click subscribe and join this channel, and share it with your friends that you feel might actually get a benefit of it. And also go and visit houseofmetamorphosis.au and check out the mentoring, the evolve curriculum, the initiation curriculum, personal mastery, and a whole lot of other things and products that we've got there to support you, like the Conscious Hairdresser's Playbook and the self-care kit that's in our shop. Just go and have a look at it, have a play, and get started this year in 2026 on being the best version of yourself, and knowing that this industry that we're in is simply the best. I'll speak to you all very soon. Have a great day.